Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. So, I'll admit, I am very late getting around to this How I Met Venita vlog, my final one at that, for the series. But unfortunately, what ended up happening was Tuesday I came home from work and I took a nap. And then I spent the rest of the evening with Katie or my brother. I don't remember who it was, but might have been Katie for all I know. And then Wednesday, I didn't even get out of work until 3 o'clock. And then, of course, I came home and took a nap, and then I ended up going back over to Katie's. So then Thursday, I thought, well, I'll have the energy to do it then. And Thursday evening, I pretty much ended up going right to bed pretty early because I was so tired because it was so crazy that day. And then, of course, Friday and Saturday, I worked at least 9 hours, if not more. So Friday I did 9.5 hours. No, Friday I did 11 hours, and Saturday, yesterday, I did 9.5 hours. I apologize. So yeah, 20 hours in just 2 days. So I literally came home, took a nap, went for a swim, stayed up for several hours, fell asleep playing video games. So I decided, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to bed, and I slept almost in the morning today. So I think I'm doing pretty well, and I still made it to church, and I got a lot of other things done too. So you probably noticed my mom's cat in the background, but just ignore him. He's been asleep off and on since I got back home from church. Before I go into my final YouTube series, the main thing I actually want to talk to you guys about finally is D23. So, if you guys did see D23 last weekend, Disney made a lot of big announcements, like the new Monsters Inc. roller coaster finally coming to Hollywood Studios. And Magic Kingdom's getting a lot of new things like Cars Land, Villains Land, and a few other things. And then Animal Kingdom is also getting a major overhaul, which I already knew about, like an Indiana Jones ride and the placement of Dinosaur, and then a Zootopia show as well as an Encanto Land. Disney's making a lot of decisions that making me go, huh? But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, there are some of those announcements that they made. I was really excited about. I was like, yay! And some of them, I was like, or what? Disney's also releasing a ton of movies over the next few years, and they all are mainly sequels because Disney is starting to run out of original ideas, which is really sad. Even though they do have a couple of original films coming out next year, so at least that's something. So I just got done filling out an apartment application. For those of you who do not know, and you probably do not, I am moving out of my parents' place finally in the next few weeks to a month. And I'm going to be moving to Dry Ridge, Kentucky, so not too far from the Ark Encounter. I almost said Ark, but anyway, I'm actually going to be living within 10 minutes or so of the Ark Encounter, Country Pumpkins, which I vlog every year, and I'm also going to be within 10 minutes of another place I've shown on YouTube called Beans Cafe and Bakery. Cafe and Bakery, not cafe. I don't even know what I said. So, I'm very excited about this, and there's definitely some exciting things going on. Yes, the job I was referring to, I'm still at Chick-fil-A CVG, but I'm now in the process of trying to get out because the scheduling has gotten out of control. And it's just getting worse every single week, and I'm just like, I can't handle it anymore. So yeah, I don't know how things are gonna go from here. I really don't. But anyway, I am praying and hoping that God will give me the direction that I need to know where to go from here, and that's all I can do is pray. But in the meantime, we're gonna be since we're talking about the future. I actually wanted to, or I'm really talking about the future. I really wanted to discuss with you guys um, how my friendship with Venita has been impacted ever since I announced to Venita that Katie and I are getting married. And I figured this would be the perfect way to end my YouTube series on how I met Venita. I literally went from, just meeting her through work to now, where do I stand? It's like, if you are new to this YouTube series, I started out the YouTube series when I was 17 years old in the series, not in real life, and now I'm ending it with me where I am currently as a 30-year-old going on 31, getting married before he turns 32, and it's just real. If you've been following the YouTube series along, it really shows how much my friendship has grown and changed for the matter since I started out this friendship as a teenager to where I am now as a young adult. Even then, I'm probably just considered an adult now, or by now. I would not be surprised by that. But anyway, I do want to apologize about the lighting in this room. Whenever I vlog in this particular room, I've noticed that the lighting sometimes gets really good, like it is now, and sometimes it's like really pale, like it was before. So please forgive me. So, with that being said, I would like to go ahead and get on with where my friendship is with Venita. So, last time I did this YouTube series, I talked about um, more or less how Venita reacted to meeting Katie for the very first time. Sorry, just some days I'm really picky about how my hair looks, and I mentioned how Venita reacted to meeting Katie for the very first time, and just her initial reaction, if you will. And now we're going to be discussing um, kind of like how Venita feels from here about us getting married. So a while back, Katie and I made the mutual decision to get married. And over the past few months, Katie and I have been working together as a team on the whole wedding thing. So, like, where we were going to have the wedding, when we were going to have the wedding, who we were going to invite, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you this right now that when it comes to planning out a wedding with your future wife when it involves, and most importantly I should say, when it involves your friends that you've known since high school, even though your friends, the friends that I'm speaking of, I did not go to high school with, I still know them since high school. And for them to see this teenager that they used to know, that used to go bar hopping, play at the theme parks every single week, go out to eat every single week, not care really about anything, but now all of a sudden he's talking about getting married to this woman and all of his plans for her, and with her for that matter. It really makes a huge impact. And Venita is one of those people. And she was just like, David's not the same person I used to know. And she's right. She's not. And, I'm really sad about that. That, they're having a hard time accepting that I'm no longer that teenager they used to know or young adult that they used to know. But, at the same time, I am one of those people that has grown up since I last saw them. I was having a personal conversation with God earlier. The nice thing about my days off is, for those of you who do not know me, I don't have a lot of quiet time with God, not even on my work days. And as a Christian, I strongly believe in quiet time with God. So this morning I had a lot of quiet time with God because this morning I've had a lot on my mind, not just because of the fact that I'm wide awake for a change, but because of the fact that for a change, I was able to reflect back on a lot of things that have been going on over the past week or so. And, sure, right now, I may not be hearing from TJ, or Venita as much as I used to, but that doesn't mean I don't think about them. Hence the reason for this YouTube video and series. And, when I was living down there, they pretty much had a lot of influence on my life. And all of a sudden now, I'm saying, I appreciate your opinion, but I still want to do things God's way. And I also want to make sure that whatever I do involves Katie somehow. And they're just not accepting it. And it's not just TJ, it's not just Kay, it's also Venita. And just, referring to Venita, since this YouTube series is all about her, Venita is just one of those older generation people that I know of that strongly believes that because of her age and my age, 30-year age gap, if you will, that I should just do the right thing, according to her, and just go ahead and listen to all of her advice. And I've told Venita some things that Katie and I are planning after we get married that she did not agree with. And she and I have not gotten along as well since. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go into what those things are because that's personal. And also, it's not the kind of thing I would talk about on YouTube, period. But obviously, if, she's not seeing things the same way I am, and not just because she doesn't have the same religious view that I do. Like, something that I've definitely learned over the past 12 years is everybody claims to be religious in their own sense, but my religion is so different than theirs because of the fact that, like TJ and Venita said, is because of the fact that not only do I 100% follow to the best of my abilities what an old book called the Bible has to say, but I also 100% believe in a man I have never even seen physically yet. But I know 100% that he's there. And it's not just because I believe it. It's not just because that's what I've always been, as people like to say, brainwashed into believing. It's not just because that's what I've always heard my whole life. It's because I personally have chosen to believe that God is real. And that's why I've decided, excuse me for a second. So that's why I believe what I do. And for Venita, it's still a challenge, and more so lately because she feels like say for example, some of the things I told her that I'm going to be doing after I get married, that's great, David, that, you are doing things based off of your religious beliefs, but at the same time she's bringing back into the equation how the world sees what I'm doing, what Webster's, I hate to say it, but she's gone that far. She's even brought Webster's into the equation. If you don't know what Webster's is, I'm referring to Webster's dictionary into the equation. And she's even gone as far as going to Urban Dictionary, Google, you name it. And I'm learning the hard way with worldly people who go through life choosing to please themselves and continue to live their life the way they want to and not the way God wants you to, is what a worldly person is. And TJK and Venita are from based off of my observations and just their actions and being around them, worldly people. And I'm not really surprised that we do not have the same beliefs, because they have been basing everything that I've been wanting to do with my future off of how I should be doing it based on what society wants, what Urban Dictionary wants, what Webster says I should be doing. Or I shouldn't say what Urban Dictionary wants, what Urban Dictionary says I should be doing, what Webster says I should be doing, what Google says I should be doing. And then if that doesn't work, they've gone as far as saying, well, so-and-so says you should be doing this, and if so-and-so says you should be doing it this way, then you need to do it this way. I don't care what your God says. I don't care what what the Bible says, because that person overrides God any day, because that's just how they are. And they're not taking how important my religion, my Christian faith or belief is to as seriously as I want them to. Another thing you guys should know about me, I've known these guys for 12 years. The whole time I've known them, I have never forced them to change just because they're living their life this way and I'm living my life this way. What I've always wanted them to do is just to understand where I'm coming from better. But Venita made a very good point a while back. And this was around the time that Venita found out that Katie and I were getting married. And she said, I hate to say this, David, but nobody is going to understand Katie like you do. It doesn't matter how hard you try to explain it. It doesn't matter how much you pour your heart into her. We're just never going to understand her the way you do. Because they're basically on. It's like what AIG, Answers in Genesis, has always taught. And I'm just going to take my glasses off just to prove a point. So, one thing AIG has always loved to talk about is the whole different glasses worldview. Christians, they put on their Christian glasses, meaning that they are looking at life through a biblical viewpoint, worldview, where everything that they do, including myself, has to align with God and the Bible. So then a worldly person, they're hearing this, they're trying to understand, but they put on their worldly glasses, and they only want to do things based off of, as long as society accepts it, then it's okay. If it's popular, then it's okay. If it feels right, then it's okay. And this is another big one I've really been learning from Venita lately. As long as everybody else is doing it, then it's okay. I feel like the way they're going now, if all of a sudden the mark of the beast were to come into existence, and they went and got the mark of the beast in order to be able to pay for things and sell things and whatever, because eventually that's going to come. We just don't know when or what it's going to be. The Bible says that any Christian who gets a mark of the beast is automatically sentenced to like a fire for eternity when their time comes, meaning when you die. And I can literally go to Revelation and tell you guys exactly which verse if I really wanted to. But the point is, if that were to come into being, me, Venita, Kay, and TJ would not get along once again, because why? Because society is telling them to do it, so therefore they should do it and I should do it. And then they would also bring into equation, this is another thing I've really been learning with the three of them, even Venita. If the government says you should do it, then you have to do it. It doesn't matter what your religion teaches you, because worldly people only go by what the government says. If the government says it, the government is basically the world's god. If the government says it, oh, well, then I can't argue with that. Oh, no. And I'm just like, oh my. And they just don't understand why I keep putting church, God, the Bible study before our government. Like, the way they treat Election Day is the way I treat Easter Sunday. So, I'll tell you guys right now, when I was living in Central Florida, TJ and Kay used to go out canvassing. Basically, what that means is you go from door to door, and you would try to help people understand your political viewpoint. TJ and Kay specifically are diehard conservatives. That's it. I wouldn't even say they're diehard conservative Christians. They're just diehard conservatives. Venita is a conservative, but she's not diehard. I mean, she is, but not to the extreme like TJ and Kay are. And every time I go somewhere with Kay and TJ, they're publicly out loud talking, as loud as possible, talking about how screwed up the Democratic Party is. And if you are a Democrat and you walk over to them and you tell them how wrong they are, they cuss you out, because their political view is always going to be superior to the Democratic viewpoint. That's just the way they are. And Venita, she might be just as bad, but she might be a little bit nicer about it. And that's another reason why I was so thankful when I did move away, because I couldn't keep living like that. Because, Easter Sunday, for example, I go to church like every single Sunday. And I discussed this actually not too long ago in a sermon series on why I always have, or why people, basically expect me to take Easter Sunday just as seriously as them. Because it all came boil down to worldly people come to Easter Sunday and they think, oh no, God's going to condemn me if I don't go to church, at least today, if not on Christmas Eve, so I have to go before God strikes me dead. And not only then there's some of them that are like to the extreme more than that, where they're like, I have to go to church all weekend, and I'm going to condemn anybody else who doesn't do it because I am so much more religious than anybody else. Even though they're not going to church all year long like I am, they're still think they're much better than everybody else. But here's my thing. Just because I go to church all year long doesn't mean I'm better than anybody else. It's just a personal choice of mine. And one thing that I've learned about working for EIG, I was required to attend church weekly. And I think that was the only time I ever really got frustrated with whether somebody knew or not I was going to church. It clearly states in Exodus 20 to keep the Sabbath holy, but it does not say that you have to attend church every single week. And that's why I've never said a word to TJK or Venita ever about whether how disappointed I am in them not going to church. I'm disappointed, but I'm never going to go up and tell them that, because at the end of the day, that's between them and God. But yet they have no problem with coming up to me, even specifically Venita, and telling me how I'm living my life the wrong way. Now, some of you might say, well, they're not real friends then. And, I'm kind of learning that now. I don't really feel like they were as true and genuine as they claim to be. And that's why I started distancing myself from them. And that's kind of why I'm coming to my conclusion now. Because I was, genuinely disappointed when the woman came in. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, when you find the right woman, you find out who your real friends are. Well, in this case, I'm really starting to figure out who my real friends are. And it's very disappointing when you do. Because the people you thought were your real friends, like, TJK and Venita, were not really my true friends the whole entire time. And I was too oblivious and blind, for that matter, to see it. And now it's like kind of stabbing me in the back, and I'm disappointed because all this time I could have moved on to somebody better, but I chose to hang on to them thinking that they were true friends all these years. These people I've known since, well, Venita and Kay I've known since high school. TJ I've known since 2015, so just after I started college, and I'm just now finding out the cold hard truth. And I'm just like, wow. I don't have any words right now. So, with that being said, what is my final conclusion to this entire YouTube series? Am I thankful for the 12 years that I've known Venita? So 2012 to 2024. Yes, I absolutely am. Do I expect the friendship to keep going? Honestly, at this point, that's completely up to Venita. And that's really all I got as far as that is concerned. And then, of course, if you were to bring TJ and Kay into the equation, same thing with them. I've told them many times, I'm not going to end my friendship with you. At this point, if they choose to end their friendship with me, that's their decision. And when I do eventually move away from Kentucky to North Carolina to be near Katie's parents, so we can go to them, or Katie can go to them for whatever reason, then, I don't know what's going to happen with my friendship with them after that. But the YouTube channel will still live on. And I'm never going to change the fact that TJ did help me start this YouTube channel almost 8 years ago as of December 4th. Even if he and I are no longer friends in the next 2 years, for whatever reason, because he made that decision, doesn't mean that I'm never going to keep this YouTube channel dedicated to it in his memory. And that's one thing you guys probably don't know about me, is the fact that I don't end friendships with people unless I absolutely have to. And they haven't done anything to force me to end that friendship. Even though they do not accept Katie, they haven't done anything drastic that has forced me to cut them out of my life. But if they were to, then I would have no choice. So, yeah, getting married has a lot of pros, but it has a lot of cons. And I'm definitely learning that the hard way. But anyway, speaking of my upcoming wedding, I am excited to say that I am returning back to Eastern North Carolina in April 2025. Katie has to do some stuff that involves the upcoming wedding. So currently, the plan is for Katie and I to drive all the way back down to Eastern North Carolina to the Raleigh, Wilson County area. Well, Wilson County is in the Raleigh area. That's why I said that. And not only are Katie and I going to go find me a rented suit tuxedo for the wedding, and I don't mean that tux behind me. I mean an actual suit. And well, actually, he's on the floor now. But anyway, we're also going to be doing some other stuff for the wedding. I'm going to get a chance to spend some time with people over there before the wedding. And we'll see what happens from there. And of course, we'll be staying with Katie's parents while we're there. You know what's hilarious? A year ago today, I was in Indianapolis, if I even said that correctly, for my very first time, and here I am a year later, and I'm now announcing that I'm going to be going back to Eastern North Carolina to start the whole wedding planning. Like, it's coming. I mean, at that point, I'm going to be less than 4 months away. And we'll be celebrating Kate's 31st birthday on top of that. So, tomorrow, I'm returning back to Spirit Halloween to do my next YouTube series on, or YouTube video on playing around again in playing around in Spirit Halloween again in 2024. So, looking forward to that. Tomorrow, I should be continuing on with the History of the Theme Park Evangelist YouTube series that I also started during Memorial Day weekend. And now that I'm at the very, very end of my YouTube series and video for How I Met Venita, it is time to officially announce my next YouTube series, My College Dayz. I'm very excited about this. I actually was doing some brainstorming not too long ago, and I came up with this idea of discussing my days at Polk State College, because though that was the only time I ever really went to college in person. We're not really going to be discussing a whole lot the time I was at Eastern Gateway, where I officially got my associates, but we are going to definitely be discussing the time I had at Polk State College. There's a lot of really cool stories I want to share with you guys, and I think you guys will get a lot out of that. I figured this would be a perfect YouTube series to start because school just started back, and fall is coming around the corner. I mean, come on, Starbucks is releasing their fall drinks on Thursday, so you know fall's coming. If Starbucks says fall's coming, then you know fall's coming. No, not really. I had to make a joke there, but I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.